Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 3502 Southwest Illinois Street here in Portland. We're located at the front of the home or just to the left of the front doorway. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We currently have water running. We'll zero out right here at the base of the cleanout. It looks like it transitions here immediately over to PVC pipe, and it appears to remain the same diameter. I'm not seeing it belling out there, so it looks like 3-inch PVC as well. That is assuming that the diameter of the cleanout is the same as the line it hooks to. Anyway, we got water running here. Here we go. And with the slope this property has here in front, we hopefully aren't going to have much in the way of settling issues. There's some separation there in that joint. A lot of these, I'm not seeing glue at the joint, so this is probably fern code. That would be my assumption anyway. Generally you can see glue if that's what they've done. Anyway, fern code joint, there is a rubber gasket that overlaps the joint by a few inches on either side. You know, a small amount of separation out of the actual pipe is not always the end of the world. It can still be completely sealed off to the ground. It looks like it just transitioned there over to 4-inch pipe and now to 6-inch concrete, and it looks like we have a really tough look at that spot there. It looks like a root's coming through this transition joint. It's a very, very common spot for roots to get in. As these are, especially when you're meeting up plastic with concrete, it's a joint you cannot glue. You have to use the fern coat, and there's another root just beyond that you can see down near the flow line. So that is a root intrusion there. I will recommend a spot repair to correct that. And we're now in the 6-inch concrete pipe here. We do have some minor standing water here. Considering the slope of this front yard, is surprising we have any standing water, but we might have some type of debris in the way here causing the water to stand, or a root intrusion. We're going to take a look at that spot on the way out. And all of this, we'll have a much better picture of everything once the line's drained. Alright, we might have our stopping point here. Let's see if the camera can bore through this junk. Alright, that's where we're going to stop there. I'm wailing on that as hard as I can. It's not punching through, and if you go much harder you can break the camera. So looks like we likely have some type of root intrusion, given we've already seen some of that. So we're going to let the pipe drain out here completely for a few minutes so we can have hopefully a better look at what's going on here. I've attempted to locate here. Now that the water's drained out and settled, you can see the root hairs kind of in between all the toilet paper buildup and stuff there. So this is definitely a root intrusion that looks like it's stopping us up. I'm having difficulty though locating this particular area. When I get down by the sidewalk area, I'm walking up and down the property line down there, and I'm picking up a locate signal pretty much anywhere I go. So it appears there's some type of utility under the ground there that is interfering with the locate. Anyway, we got roots here at 63 feet. And we're going to reel back here a little bit, about 10 feet or so, and see if we can locate it at that point. If nothing else, the further away we get from the sidewalk area, we should be able to pick on some type of locate. And my recommendation here, with the amount of roots we've seen so far in the line, I would recommend a full update to this concrete section of the pipe. Unfortunately, we can't see beyond that root intrusion. The reason I say that, though, is there's a point at which, in my opinion, you should fully update rather than keep spot repairing it as time goes on. And it's the absolute most cost-effective time to update a line when you're already down there doing a good sized portion of it. So that's why I would recommend that. At this point, a spot repair might deal with the issue. They might have roots and busted up pipe all the way out to the main for all we know. We just can't see it all. I'm going to try and locate here. All right, so I was able to locate the camera head here. So the line comes out to the left of the front doorway, and it crosses underneath the driveway. And it looks like it pops out down at the curb area just to the right of the driveway skirt. We're going to push out here and try and locate a little bit more. It goes right into a whole bunch of bushes and trees and stuff, which is going to make it a little tricky to locate. But I'm going to try and push out here and try and at least locate this end spot. Anyway, from this point on out, or from 63 feet on out, we can't see the condition. Because we have roots up to this point here, you know, generally I like to just see the whole thing get updated at once rather than spot repaired. Obviously, that's not always the most or the cheapest option. That's just, it would fully update the line and help keep it protected from further root intrusions. What you could do here, in order to save some money, you could try and jet or auger the roots out of the line and rescope it. If you've got a nicely draining line with the roots removed from it, it gives you the option of doing an epoxy liner and avoiding digging up any pipe at all. So at the very least, I recommend spot repairing from 40 feet to 63 feet. Beyond this point, I'm just not sure what's going on with it. But when you've got this much pipe all ready to go, it's just the most cost-effective time to fully update and hopefully avoid having to do anything else like this for another 40 or 50 years. All right, I was able to locate the camera head here. The diagram will kind of help make it make sense. The line right now is side-hilling. It looks like it might actually be in the neighbor's yard. I'm talking about the house directly to the right of this home, if you're looking at the front of this house from the street. The line just goes right through the retaining wall to the right of the driveway and continues on that path. And right now it's still side-hilling, and if you're standing in the street looking at the mailbox to the right of the front driveway, or the right of the driveway, the line right now is beyond that, going over towards the neighbor's property. So I have put an X marking there. I'm getting around 5 feet deep. It's a very tricky spot to locate. It's a very steep hillside, which can throw the locator off to a certain extent. So just use some caution if you're digging there. But because of that, I would recommend contacting the city to find out if they're going to be okay with its current configuration. I don't know if there's any type of easement or something of that nature. It might already be established. It may not be a problem at all. I don't know where the property line is, but with where it's running right now, I would recommend looking into that. I'm going to try and do one more marking here, kind of in between those 2 points, between 40 and 63 feet. All right, I've got a few markings down on the ground here. I've got a T marking right where the line transitions to concrete, and that is about 6 inches before the retaining wall, and it's actually underneath the driveway there for the first maybe 6 inches to a foot or so of the concrete line. And that's at about 2 feet 10 inches deep. It's very shallow there. Going beyond that, I'm getting depths around 3 feet 10 inches and then about 5 feet deep at 63 feet where we stopped up there. Again, we're on a very steep, awkward hillside to locate on, which can affect the depth on that. So keep that in mind when digging or if you go that route. I've got as much of it mapped out as I can possibly do. But where the line stops up, if you're standing, just for reference purposes, if you're standing in the street right in front of the driveway looking up at the front of the house, there is a large tree that is directly up against the driveway, and then another one about 4 or 5 feet to the right of that. That's where the line or the camera stopped up at, is that second tree to the right of the driveway, or the one that's furthest from it. And that thing is parked pretty much right on top of the sewer pipe, and that's why it stopped up there. You probably have a huge portion of the root system of that tree actually inside the sewer line there. So from here at 41 feet out to at least 63 feet, I recommend a full update to the sewer line. It would be ideal to get some roots cleared out of there so you can scope the rest. What you could do is if you're digging, you could open the ground up and run the camera through at that point, or go the route of drain cleaning it. And that, as long as there's no encroachment issues with the way that that line runs, as long as there's no issue with it maybe crossing on the neighbor's property, which I don't know. I can't confirm that without seeing property lines, and or you have to talk to the city really to get that figured out. As long as the configuration's okay, and after you clean the line out completely, you may have the ability to do a pipe liner. It's hard to say. You might have totally busted up pipe beyond that point. It might be in perfect condition beyond that. We just don't know. I recommend trying to get the rest of it scoped at some point. If there's issues with it beyond that, you want to make sure you're dealing with it all at once. Again, as mentioned before, there's a few joints in the line here in the plastic part that are showing some separation. If they're fern coat joints, I'm not terribly concerned about it. Usually if a joint's glued, there's some evidence of it. You'll see glue daubs and lines and stuff running from the joint. I'm not seeing that, so it looks like it might be fern coat. In that circumstance, I'm not terribly concerned about 1/16 of an inch of separation between these pipe joints here. If they're fern coat, those are completely sealed off to the ground, and even if they're glued, they can be completely sealed, and someone just didn't butt them up tight enough together. But that spot there, much of that plastic is underneath the driveway. Now we're going to go ahead and reel the camera out of the line here. If I can, I'm going to try and reverse direction and scope back into the house here before we do that. Alright, now heading back into the home here. Not sure how far I'll be able to get. As best as oh, that's probably where we're going to stop here. And I've seen this spot inside the crawl space. As best I can tell here, it looks like the line routes through the crawl and not underneath the garage floor. But we can't really get beyond that point. The camera just wants to run into the clean out here. Anyway, up to 40 feet there. The line's in good shape and functioning. From 40 feet to 63 feet, I highly recommend at least a spot repair, if not a full update to the concrete section all the way out to the main or wherever homeowner responsibility ends here. And the reason for that, if you're going to have a lot of active root systems in the ground still, you want to get as much updated as you can. That will prevent or help prevent any further root intrusion in the future. The reason I like the epoxy liners, over the years, they tend to hold roots out. I see a lot of spot repairs done where you put a section of new plastic pipe in between an old concrete section. And with a fern coat joint, they're not that terribly resistant to roots. And I've seen a lot of lines get re-intruded within a year or so of a spot repair. What I like about the epoxy liners is that they're essentially jointless, and they tend to, at least in my experience, tend to seal roots out better if you're going to have live trees with active root systems in the ground right around the sewer line. That would be my suggestion. Obviously, talk to the repair guys and find out what's going to work best for you, but that's what I've seen over the years with when you still have trees in the ground after you do the spot repair. They do, in my opinion, a better job than the average sewer pipe at holding roots out. And make sure you get the line re-inspected after the repair is done. An incredible amount of lines have problems right after they've been installed. Many issues happen at the time of installation. So you want to get a re-scope done after the repair is finished up to make sure it looks good and is functioning the way it should be. Before we stop the thing up here, I'm going to try and just show with the camera where this thing runs. It's not going to be the best picture in the world, but give you an idea anyway. Here's our front porch. There's the clean out we're pointing at right now. The line comes out from here, it turns, goes all the way across the driveway towards my car there, and just on the other side of my car it passes through the retaining wall. That tree we're looking at right now is one of the trees that's likely intruded. Just on the other side of that tree is a smaller tree, and that's where the camera stopped up. You'll see a big white X marking there.